All right, great. If I can figure out how to hit got it, I'll be set. Well, I guess I'm going to have this thing in front of me. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming this morning. I am Dave Kuhar. I'm the Director of Web Technologies at University Communications here at Stanford. And I've been here for a little over 2.5 years. I'm usually sitting in my home office in Northeast Ohio, but I'm actually on campus right now, which is kind of nice for this event. And I'm going to tell you about the project we're calling Unity, which is a complete tech stack rebuild for the enterprise communications function here at Stanford. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the problem statement, and that is that Stanford has a lot of communication channels, like thousands of listservs, an untold number of interspecific and general information newsletters, and hundreds of primary and secondary websites. And that's not to mention the thousands upon thousands of other sites that are under the umbrella of stanford.edu. Our campus community, from leadership through our faculty and staff and at all levels of the student body, struggles with the sheer volume of information presented through these channels. Feedback indicates that our most important audiences have a desire to see communications consolidated and personalized, cutting through that noise to offer clear signals that are relevant to their journeys here at Stanford. Here at UComm, our strategic response to these problems and the desires of our audience is to create opportunities to surface and elevate the best content from every corner of campus. Our goals are to deliver necessary, relevant, and timely information with minimum friction and maximum utility, and to create awareness and reinforce university priorities along with school and unit messages. So in order to do this, we need to build a tech stack capable of streamlining the creation and distribution of content, freeing content creators to use their time on more strategic endeavors. So I have a few examples of the feedback we've received, like, I would very much like to open staff time to do other things. We've heard from communication leaders that they're not certain the content created by the groups is having their desired impact and would like to be able to redirect staff time in other directions. If someone else writes an article about our faculty, I want to be able to leverage it, but I might not even know about it unless they reach out to me. So without a central content warehouse, there's no window into the work other communicators are working on, unless the staff of various schools and departments share that information directly with others. This leads to duplicate efforts rather than collaboration. Another one said, I just want to think about sending my content to one place, and I want all of our people to just thinking about sending things to one place. Creating a central repository for content and making submission of that content as seamless as possible would solve for this scattershot approach of, can you send this to everybody? So we asked ourselves if it would be possible to use our existing tech stack to solve these issues, but the systems in place were not built with cross-campus collaboration in mind. There's no mechanism for collecting and distributing content from multiple origin CMSs, Drupal, AEM, WordPress, Storyblock, and communicators have no window into the work their colleagues across campus are working on. And then the disparate systems that were used in UComm are a mixture of off-the-shelf, on-prem, and bespoke software. Some is upwards of 20 years old, and some of the software is unsupported, which represents significant operational and technical risk. Many of these tools have limited feature sets and won't be able to serve the university's goals and objectives. So we arrived at a set of development objectives to guide our research into replacement systems. Our new tech stack will lead us to our goals of providing a better news and information experience for the university's audiences. We'll be able to deliver the right messages to the right audiences via multiple channels. With centralized content storage and federated delivery, we'll have the strategic flexibility to craft custom messaging packages to support internal and external efforts to a wide variety of audiences, manage crisis communications response through a central tool, and enhance fundraising and public relations campaigns based on user metrics and content engagement. With the centralized tool and campus-wide workflow management, we'll realize savings in staff time and expense through increased efficiencies. This comes through the use of shared experiences of content providers, as several hundred communicators on campus work and communicate with each other using a common language. And while most, if not all of these objectives can be realized by creating a completely custom platform tailor-made for Stanford's needs, we abandoned that approach early in the research process. The university itself is moving away from bespoke systems and managing its own infrastructure in favor of identifying and leveraging enterprise-level cloud solutions. UComm is very supportive of that approach, and we put significant effort into identifying and selecting the pillars of this new tech stack, which we're calling Unity. Because we're proposing a unified tech stack capable of carrying Stanford's enterprise communications into the future of a targeted, personalized content, we named the effort Unity. The 6 pillars of the system include a replacement for our 20-year-old bespoke Java-based events calendar system. We selected Localist. It's a platform widely used in the higher ed market. And we actually launched that system at the beginning of February 2022. We also have a new email system capable of complex targeted message delivery via rich user analytics. We transitioned from MailChimp for Stanford Report and other UComm newsletters, and Sendie, which we use for communications from the president, provost, and other leaders, over to Adobe Marketo, with our first sends going out last month, April 2023. We update our internal audience nightly, pulling data from PeopleSoft, including the affiliation information we use for audience segmentation. To that, we're now adding a storage and distribution environment to enable collection, normalization, and syndication of news content from across campus, regardless of the originating CMS. An enterprise-wide search system with rich controls for customized search experiences based on each site's user expectations. An amalgamated analytics dashboard for collecting and collating content performance metrics to track engagement and message penetration. And finally, we're building a new SALLIE, which is Stanford's digital asset management system. SALLIE currently runs on an on-prem installation of Cumulus. That's a product that will reach end of life at the end of this year. We've chosen a vendor called Media Valet, and we'll soon begin the process of migrating the roughly 1 million assets we have stored in the current SALLIE. Our target for completion is the end of this year, concurrent with end of life of Cumulus. So the biggest part of this thing is the centralized content area. Hold on a second. Called Squiz DXP. We found Squiz to be unique. Its offerings are built for service-led organizations like higher ed and governments. And in addition, we just found their team to be a delight to work with. They're never cagey or slow to respond or anything else. So they've proven so far to be a really great partner in the project. So here's how it worked for Stanford. Content from the major CMSs in use on campus, like I mentioned, Adobe Experience Manager, Drupal, WordPress, Storyblock, will be ingested and then aggregated via an integration platform that's part of the Squiz DXP. Once it's in the warehouse, content management is handled via a content queue interface. Our reviewers in the UComm's reviewers in the system can review, edit, publish content. And because the integration is bidirectional, they can send their changes back to the originating system if required, or to send various signals back about the status of the content itself. Content sent to the warehouse is also added to the Funnelback index for immediate availability upon being published. There's no waiting for Google to crawl or what have you. If content is unpublished for any reason, it's immediately removed from the index and any sites that have pulled it into their syndication streams. There's a personalization engine that anonymously profiles users based on their viewing habits, assigning them personas and displaying content most relevant to them. It's important to emphasize that we are planning to implement personalization, which will focus only on getting the most relevant information to the audiences who need them. And all of that content is accessible via an API that can be picked up by any front-end application, wherever that's a mobile app, a decoupled system like the ones that's used for Adapt, the DXP's own templating language, or any other endpoint that can consume JSON. So one of the features we're most excited about is the Funnelback search. With this system, we'll be able to create search experiences customized for each site's users, with weighting managed in an intelligent way and controlled by the site owner. With full ownership of the search index will also be guarding against the insertion of inappropriate results, which has happened a couple of times with Google's custom search engines, particularly on stanford.edu, our home site. We'll be able to index public content and content behind SUNET auth, offering the best search experience for both internal and external audiences. Funnelback will give us the ability to automate delivery of related content, again, intelligently and based on the site owner's priorities. With our enterprise-wide search index, we'll be able to present results from any index site, enriching the search results offered to our users. And we can point the engine's crawler to any source, knowledge bases, the events calendar, social media accounts, Stanford profiles, course catalogs, and present those results in a tabbed, faceted format. So this screenshot you're seeing here is the POC for the work that's in progress right now. So you can see I searched for provost budget. The top result is today's story about Persis presenting the upcoming budget. The space above it with the dashed line around it shows a promoted search result, which indicates our ability to add extra weight to specific keywords, or to actually put either with the weighting, having it show up higher in the results, or by explicitly putting it out there at the very top of the search results. On the left-hand side, you see the facets, and then across the top, those tabs don't really necessarily represent what we're going to do in the end state, but that's how we're dividing stuff up now as we work through the proof of concept. So we're also going to transition over to Squiz DXP's content management system, which is called Matrix. UComm is going to transition out of WordPress and into Matrix. First for our news properties, Stanford Report and Stanford News, which will be merging into a single site. And then over time, it'll become the sole CMS we use at UComm. Matrix is also the tool used to create the content warehouse itself and offer a management queue and editing tools for creators. To further our goals as a data-driven organization, my click might work eventually. Let's see, next slide. There you go. We're pulling analytics for most of the pillars I mentioned earlier. So that's the content warehouse itself, SALLIE, Marketo, GA, and we've actually added Site Improve's analytics tool. In addition to using their accessibility, we're now using their analytics to give us a really rich data set. And over time, we'll be able to use that cited data to begin offering a more targeted, customized experience for our end users, based on their relationships to Stanford and the personas that they represent. And that's what I put together for you today. I want to end by thanking quite a few people, like I'm doing an Oscar speech. But first of all, my team has been amazing. This is a lot of work for a very small team to get done in a short amount of time. And I think I figured out that between Localist in Feb of 22 and the new Stanford Report property in early 2024, we'll have done all of this in the space of 2 years. We couldn't have done any of this without amazing support from our leadership, from John Stafford to Farnaz Kadem, Martin Schell, all the way up to Persis and Mark. They've been extremely supportive of this work, and I have to say that working with web services on a lot of these things has been amazing. And finally, the systems governance group has supported us financially and made it all possible. So, if you were to ask me what makes work of this scale possible, I would say that it is just having that amount of support at every level of the university has been just completely important in the effort. And now I'm open for questions. Thank you. Do you want me, Aaron? Do you want me to work through the questions?
I think Justin answered the Squiz question, and there's a question about if you can make the slides available.
Absolutely, I'd be happy.
So just send me the link, and I'll post it to the session page.
Okay, it's in Keynote. I think I'll make a PDF share with you. How's that?
Can you post it to like Google Drive and send me the link to the?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to. Yeah. Okay. All right. I had 45 minutes and I took 15. So I've got plenty of time for questions, and there's got to be plenty, or I'll be happy to talk for the next 30 minutes on this thing. I've been talking about it for 2.5 years. I think we need a seed question from Dina. to get things going.
I don't have one ready yet. I'm formulating one about funnel back, but I don't quite have it well formulated in my brain yet.
I'll seed a question. Maybe
All right.
maybe it's worth it. So if I'm a Drupal site owner, what does this mean? What does this mean for me?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Justin. That's a great question. Justin is senior UX UI developer on the web technologies team. So that's a great question. And it's the same answer whether you're on Drupal or any other CMS that we use on campus. We're going to be building a connector into your Origin CMS. And what it will do in the MVP versus future iterations is going to, we haven't quite mapped it completely out yet, but the intention of the connector is to give you a direct way to take your news content and publish it to the Matrix content warehouse. What that will do is add it into a queue where our editors and curators at UComm can see what's coming in and make various choices, like which of our channels are we going to publish it into. If we want to, and we quite often do, massage titles or teasers for our own uses, then we can do that within Matrix and send it out to Marketo or to the Stanford Report website. Other choices we can make in the future will have to do with whether you want to own the full content and send us a teaser or vice versa. You'll be able to see what changes we've made to the content and decide, well, maybe this headline, I like this headline better, and I'll pull it back over to my end. But the point of this is to have a live connection so that when changes are made at one end or the other, both parties are aware of those changes being made. One other thing I know that we're going to add in the first edition will be some type of global taxonomies, possibly one, possibly more, that will be agreed upon by everybody who's connecting into the content warehouse, so we have a common frame of reference as to what the topic is or what the categories and tags need to be. In addition to that, you'll be able to continue using your own local taxonomy so that you don't have to change anything at that end. And we're going to work with our content partners over the summer to determine what those global taxonomies are going to be. Geez, did I really do that good a job? Or Carol?
There's a
Oh,
question
Carol.
You did a great job.
Oh, thanks, Carol.
There's
You
a
speak
question.
very quickly, so it's taking my head time to process your words.
Yeah.
It occurred to me as you're posting your slides, and on Google Drive, and then Aaron's going to pick it up and post it on this. Is that something also we can post using Matrix or the system? I'm not sure how to say that, but would that be something also included?
Well, sure. We can put anything into Matrix that we like. So at some point in time down the road, it's not actually up and live. We're kind of in the early stages of development right now. But I will note though that the slideshow will include the notes that I was reading off of. So all of my very fast speaking, you're going to get just about every word I said in those notes. And I apologize. I actually used to do some television work, and they were always telling me that I talked too fast, and it's something I've never managed to slow down. Sorry about that. Aaron's got his hand up.
Okay, so there's a question in the chat if you could talk more about your Marketo integration.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to tell you thank you for asking that question, because I wanted to get in more into our Marketo journey. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to go a little deeper on it. And I'll start with what we do with MailChimp. Is there a video from my TV days? Yes, there is. If you want to know about it, contact me privately. It's on YouTube. It was mostly educational programming for local PBS, but it was fun stuff. Yeah, of course, Justin will find it. Anyway, Marketo. So we actually we used MailChimp for years, and up until September 2021, we were very sporadic in updating our internal audience, which meant downloading a giant list from someplace and uploading it into MailChimp. In 2021, you may have noticed a change in the way the the newsletter looked. That was a heroic effort on Justin's part to give us a great new design. And then mentioning JB Christie, who's also on my team. She's our backend developer and web architect. She did a lot of work on doing a nightly LDAP sync. So we were able to pull over our own. So don't go watching YouTube while I'm talking. So I did this LDAP sync every night to make sure we had the most update set of users from campus. In moving over to Marketo, we decided we wanted to look at doing it a slightly different way. And that is we used Maze API to connect to PeopleSoft and ask for a change in records for the last N days or what have you. And that was actually a more difficult journey than we expected it to be. And frankly, we're still not quite solid on it. All the information is there. It's really a matter of learning how to pull it in and massage it in the way that we need to use it. We'll be totally happy to share that process and the scripts and everything else with anybody else who's looking at making a transition to Marketo and wants to have an up-to-date internal audience. One of the cool things about doing that is I would like to work out a way to not only pull in our Marketo analytics into Data Store, but if you're using the same audience and you're getting Marketo analytics, we can pull those in as well. And the richer the data set we have, the more accurate our personalization is going to be down the road. So I'd like to encourage anybody who's looking at Marketo to do that. The other thing that we did is in looking for a Marketo agency to assist us with a transition, we discovered an agency called Digital Pi, P-I. They are a silver, platinum coated, whatever, Adobe partner. But one of the really cool things they did is they built an add-on system to Marketo called Flex. And what it does is make it a whole lot easier to create templates in Marketo beyond what is that platform's famously difficult interface. I shared that with our colleagues in OOD, and Patrick McMahon and his crew saw it and got wildly excited. And I think we introduced them to it in September, and they were using it by November, and they love it. And our people are reporting the same thing. And then finally, another important thing we added to this mix is a interstitial tool called FeedOtter, O-T-T-E-R. And what FeedOtter does is give you a way to collect content from any number of RSS and JSON feeds. So as you're probably aware, Stanford Report is a newsletter based on news content from around campus. And up until this transition, our folks were doing manual cut, copy, paste into MailChimp every day for 5 issues a week for faculty and staff, 5 for external, 2 a week for the students year round, except for the summer. And it's around 600 issues of Stanford Report a year. And they were doing all this cut, copy, paste, taking lots of hours. What FeedOtter does is give them a really easy way to look at the content cues and click, I want this. It all flows in. And within a matter of, 20 minutes, they have a newsletter done. They click a button, they tell it which audience in Marketo they want to send it to, and off it goes. I'm maybe simplifying that by a click or two, but no, Justin's like maybe a few. But it's been a wildly successful and very welcome change for our content people to be able to get that part of the drudgery part of their job done in a much quicker manner. So that's the story of Marketo. We're enjoying seeing the results of the changes. And I think the only other thing there's another system that JB rebuilt. One of those other 20-year-old legacy systems we had was we call it SRADs, it's Stanford Report Ads. And it was also a 20-year-old bespoke Java application that we are about to relaunch as a WordPress app that enhances the user experience, but also offers an RSS feed that we could use to pull ads into the digest via FeedOtter. So that's all really cool stuff. And actually, as part of that, Justin worked with our strategy team to redesign the ads, and we've been enjoying like a 400% increase in click-throughs on the ads and those things just by making a change in the design. So it's all around, it's been a good year for Stanford Report Digest. How's that for a long Marketo answer? Happy to tell you about anything else. Yeah, opposite development. If you're interested and you want to indulge me again, I can tell you a bit about what's happening with SALLIE. Does that sound like a good idea? Get like high fives and stuff. Okay, great. So I'm sure most of you know what SALLIE is, but SALLIE is the Stanford All Image Exchange, and currently it's based on Canto's product Cumulus. It's on an on-prem server, and if you used it, you know that it lacks in many ways. And so Cumulus did us the favor of deciding to end of life that product and forced our hand to go finally look for something better than that product. And so we did. So we started a listening tour around campus. I worked with colleagues in UIT, Maria Inseong and Adele Yebet, and a few other people. We discovered all of the things that people have, all the problems people have with SALLIE, the biggest problems being performance and a horrible search function, and then plenty of others. So we went looking for vendors and found 6, boiled that down to 3. And after the long RFP process with procurement, Media Valley won the day. They're a decent sized company actually out of Vancouver, Canada. NBC Universal is their biggest client, so they know how to handle very, very large data sets and very distributed organizations. But they also have some rich experience in higher ed, so they get us. And we're really we're excited about working with Media Valley because their offering is excellent. It does a lot of really interesting things with AI and audio video intelligence and automated transcription. And user management is much, much easier. We have no limit on the number of users, no limit on the number of portals that can be shared externally for various purposes. Each department will be able to handle their own user management, instead of having to submit a ticket and wait for something to happen at our end. And we are just about starting that process. We're basically starting that process now, the beginning of the planning of the migration of the 40 terabytes or so worth of data we have. One of the things we're going to be asking all of our current tenants to do is essentially clean up their act. We've got, we have millions, maybe over 1 million assets in there, and we're sure most of them aren't needed. So there's a bit of an effort there to clean up. There will be, like we're doing with Matrix, there will be an effort to come up with a couple of global taxonomies that could be agreed upon across the enterprise, and then every department, unit, school, whatever, will be able to have their own taxonomies and attributes. A really cool feature of Media Valley is if we want to, we could use it as a CDN, a content delivery network. So rather than having to download, crop, upload into your CMS, your content creators can connect directly from Drupal or WordPress, whatever, to view and search the Media Valley library, find the asset they want, indicate a specific crop for it, and then add it directly into the content. So it will be delivered from that rather than from your Drupal installation or what have you. And it is it's transformed on the fly. Cool thing about doing that way is that we do get those engagement metrics, and we know what people are looking at. And a very nice thing is if there's something we get a takedown notice or whatever, it's easy enough to just remove it from Media Valley, and any place it's being displayed, it will no longer display there, which is a great legal risk mitigation step that we can take. Just like any of these other projects, you're welcome to reach out to me anytime you like, and I can give you the details. You can ask me, unit specific questions or what have you. But if you're involved in using SALLIE now, know that we will be reaching out to you in the next 4 weeks, I would say. Lisa, in Clean Up Our Act, OC has its own category. We're trying to load S. Well, reach out to me if you got questions. I'll be happy to help. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions about SALLIE or personalization or Marketo or the events calendar or whatever? We're all about all those things. Dina, did you ever get your funnel back question in your head?
I did. I was just trying to decide if it was so abrupt change of topic, but you mentioned that Funnelback would be able to index intranets. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. We definitely have a lot of search needs on intranets, but of course, trying to make sure there's the appropriate privacy controls on the data that is getting indexed is pretty important. So anything you have
Sure.
about that, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, well, first thing I can tell you is that because of their long experience in higher ed and governmental installations, they're quite used to dealing with varying levels of privacy and security for different types of data, handling it down to the department level as necessary. So I know that they've done that kind of thing for other entities like ours. Actually, the state of Indiana, in.gov, runs all of their everything on the Squiz platform. So you can imagine how many sites that is and how many different users distributed around the state. But another service they offer using the Squiz DXP is they build student portals. So they're used to having things like, I think the most recent one I saw is they were connecting into 22 different systems at one of their client universities to pull in data from, from financial to course schedules, to course selection, to neighborhood news if you were at Stanford, to what have you, and deliver that to the student end user based on that person's attributes when they log in. We would be able to leverage the same thing. So if you have, we could send and probably should send Funnelback to go index the KVs on ServiceNow, because I don't know about you, but the search in ServiceNow frustrates me, and I would like to be able to find things a bit easier. Searching, imagine being a staff member here at Stanford and searching for help on any site on doing something, and it pulls up some search results from ServiceNow in addition to various UIT sites, in addition to what have you. Or you're a student and you're interested in following some sort of academic journey while you're here, by pulling from all these different systems, whether it's Stanford profiles or faculty records or what have you, to discover who are the people you would want to talk to. You want to talk to this person in this office about getting into this class for this reason. We can use Funnelback to do that. And actually, one of the things that I think is pretty exciting is when we do our news articles on Stanford Report, we can add not just related articles, but if we could add things like, these faculty members are mentioned in the story, click over here to see their other mentions, or click over here to see their profile, or what classes they teach, or what have you. These are the kind of things that I really wanted to leverage Funnelback to do. In order to do that, we're going to have to index a vast amount of information here at Stanford. Did that help? Okay, sure, Aaron. You're mute. I'm sorry.
There's two questions in the chat. If you could talk more about the switch to Localist on Stanford events.
Sure. Yeah. So Localist has been up now for 16 months or so, and I'm not sure. Was there? Oh, tell more about replacement of it. Okay, great. Moving over from this ancient, literally 20-year-old bespoke Java struts application was a challenge, in part because JB Christie, again, our backend developer and web architect, had to do a lot of work reverse engineering a database she knew nothing about to figure out how to move that content over into the new system, because it was a live system, and all of our users around campus continued to add events while we were in development. So that was a pretty heavy lift, and she did an amazing job of getting that done. We also migrated over all 950 plus departments and groups that were in the old system. We're sure there's a lot of cruft in there, but there was really no way to go and try to clean it up. So it's all in there. But she did that as well, and then maintained a nightly sync while we were in development, going and pulling anything new that had been added to that system. So that was a big part of it. And then we, of course, had to take the Localist default interface and Stanfordize it like we do. Justin Rent, again, our senior UX UI developer, from day one here in April of 2022, did almost nothing but mess with Localist for the better part of his first year here at Stanford. And you know, if you've been there, you've seen it, and it does look it does what Stanford sites do. And you know, there are some limitations of what we can and can't do because it's a walled garden of a system. But you know, we had to educate ourselves on how that system worked, and then build around it as best we could with the tools we had. We actually left that legacy site up until the end of November of last year because we had clients or tenants who were continued pulling their event feeds from the old system because they were on Drupal 7. Our friends at Web Services built a connector for Drupal 9, but they rightly said they would not build one from D7 because we were getting away from D7. So we had to support both at the same time. That was a fun project to get to know Justin. I'm sure it was. Justin had a full head of hair before he started here. Yeah. What are some limitations faced with moving to Localist? You know, that system, I think if I had to use the word disappointing or maybe concerning about Localist, they have a very strange permission structure. And we are limited in what we can allow people do and how we manage user access in that system. The good news is that they've heard us and they've heard some of their other clients and are actually looking at revamping the way that's done. Oftentimes permissions are stacked. You know, you get this one and then you get this one plus this one and this one plus this one. And that's not how Localist does it. So it's difficult to manage user access, particularly for students. We can't give them access to edit their own organization page because if we make you a group admin, you can edit anybody's page. And we're not going to be allowing that to happen. Nancy, did you have any other, did you have a specific question along those lines?
No, I just wanted to get a better understanding of what those limitations are. So it just seems like access was the biggest one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and like I said, you know, we're looking forward to their revamping that system so that we can change the way that we manage users.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I might add on to that if I'm allowed, Dave, since
Oh,
you
sure.
called
Yeah,
me out
please.
anyways.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The theming was a bit difficult if you're a developer. I mean, to, I guess, keep it simple, all the theming is in the admin UI. So yeah, if you're a developer, I don't have access to pushing and pulling template files and code and stuff. So we had to really sort of rig ourselves up with a way that I could do that, is sort of back into it. So if you're interested in more detail on that, but I would call that out as something that was a challenge for sure.
Yeah, that's a lesson we learned from Localist project, was to make sure that any other cloud vendor we work with actually lets us use real development workflows. Yes, he did, Sarah. He did do a good job with it. Thank you. Where's Localist hosted? Well, it's a cloud-based platform. I think they're on Azure, I believe. Yeah, SALLIE, the new SALLIE Media Ballet is also on Azure, and Squiz is on AWS. And of course, the fun challenge was 2 Wednesdays ago when Persis announced that she was leaving at in the fall, or stepping down in the fall, and that happened to be the day that Marketo had an outage that made all of our links break. So this monumental announcement went out, and then nobody could get to the announcement. So actually, we pivoted very quickly and recreated just that announcement in MailChimp, since we still have all that stuff in place, and sent it out again just so that everybody can get to the news. Persis was extremely gracious about it, and it didn't bother her in the least. So that was nice. Actually, one of the cool things about moving to Marketo from the bifurcated Sendy MailChimp thing is that we didn't have any way to, we didn't have good analytics in Sendy at all anyway. But now that we do, we can do operational emails in Marketo. By that, I mean, people can't opt out of them. We can now get a better sense of, who is clicking on and reading through leadership comms that come out of Marketo than we did with Sendy. I think with Sendy, we got where they were faculty, staff, or student. Now we can say, well, the undergrads didn't click on this at all, but the graduate students really did, or what have you. Can we go over the time of when we see what's get put in action for us to use? Lisa, great. Thanks for putting me on this. No, yes, I am officially on the spot anyway, aren't I? The timeline when we can get, okay. So like Media Valet, like I mentioned, the goal is to get all of the current tenants off of the current SALLIE by winter break, because while we're on break, the software goes EOL. That doesn't mean it's going to die on January 1st, but it means it will be unsupported software on an on-prem server, and that's not good. We are working with Media Valet for every aspect of the migration, and the good news is that I have enough in the budget to pay for their highest level onboarding experience. So we get access to their DAM experts, their taxonomists, their librarians, the people who really know how to build big systems like that make sense. And those people will be engaging with each unit. Thanks, John. Those people from Media Valet, those experts, will be engaging with each unit, school, what have you, to plan and execute their migration, which is better than us doing it internally, where a DAM is just another tool to us, but it's not what we eat and live and breathe. In addition, Media Valet's contract includes unlimited tech support and unlimited onboarding. So as new units come on into the system, we'll be able to turn them over to those same people who by this point will know our system very well, and will help them come on in and assimilate and not make a mess of things joining us in SALLIE. So as far as that's concerned, like new tenants or people who have some of their assets in SALLIE and then a bunch of other ones in Google Drive, it's not clear yet what the timing is on assets that aren't already in the system. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do a lot of that before the end of the year, but at this point, our timeline's indicating somewhere, or again, like end of February, early March, before we can basically have all of that done. Does that help, Lisa? That's okay. So that's SALLIE. Marketo isn't something that we're going to be offering to anybody else, at least at this point. The reason being that I've been told by 2 of 3 good sources that I've talked to that it's not pretty trying to manage a multi-tenant Marketo instance, which is strange because it's an enterprise tool. So go figure. A third agency I've talked to recently has indicated that maybe it's not as bad as all that, and it might be possible to do that. But at a minimum, we'll be happy to share our learnings with everybody that if they decide they want to go that way. Just know that it's significantly more expensive than MailChimp. And then finally, Stanford Report and the whole Squiz DXP, with our planned launch at the end of February, early March next year, that's when everybody would be connected and serving their content into the warehouse. It's going to be happening well before then, but that's when the launch is. Did I miss any? Tenants, units that own categories. When I'm talking about tenants in SALLIE, that's to say GSB and Slack and Hoover and Med. They all have their own collections in there. Those are our tenants. Okay. All right. Yeah, we all do. If you're not aware of the glossary, go to acronyms.stanford.edu. We actually do have a glossary. It used to be called SAD, the Stanford Acronym Dictionary. Actually, I think SAD.Stanford still works. And by the way, what's cool about that is anybody could submit a change. So when TCG and somebody else just merged into, what is it now, CTSC? Yeah. I was able to add that to the acronym dictionary. So if you know some that other people don't know, you can use a form to put it up there. And I think Adam Cap probably manages that.
All right, Dave, thanks so much.
Sure.
Helpful, informative. I'll post the link when you send it to me to the session page, everyone, so you can get the slides. And then we will be posting these video recordings soon. As soon as we can get them up to YouTube and edited. We'll let the email list or as well as the Slack channel know when those are ready.
All right. All right. Hey, thanks everybody. I'm really happy to see this many people here and interested. So I appreciate your time this morning. Bye, y'all.